Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head up to Norway once again for the first time in what feels like quite a little while, and we're going to go back to a brewery who have featured on the channel a good number of times before, but we're going to try something from a series that I've never had anything from, so it should be quite an interesting review. So for this review then we are going to go to Oslo, the capital city in the south of the country, and we're having a look at yet another beer from Amundsen Bryggeri. This one is my first beer from their dessert in a can series, and this particular one is entitled Blueberry Pancake Stack. Comes in at 10.5% ABV, and as is the case with all of the beers in this series, this one is an Imperial Stout, or an Imperial Pastry Stout, I guess you could call it as well. So yeah, there's been a good few of these dessert in a can beers come through Systembolaget here in Sweden. We got this one on the 24th of June 2020 through the Tillfällig assortment, and the last beer that I had from Amundsen was the Glazed and Confused, which was a beautiful, that must have been about 12-13% that stout, but that was really nice. And before that I had the Zygote Imperial Stout as well, which was a chocolate chip cookie stout. And you know, I know that the sweet stout is a style of beers that this brewery does very well, but they're also really well known for their kind of hazy New England style IPAs too. But very curious to see how this one turns out. Like I said, my first beer in their dessert in a can series, and I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this one as well. I always enjoy reviewing the Norwegian beers for you, and Amundsen always put some very nice things out there. So yeah, let's see how we got on then. As always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Amundsen Bryggeri before. No doubt you will see some more from these guys in the near future. There's all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, province, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Norwegian beers that I've reviewed for you. That's being added to whenever I get the opportunity, but not as often as I would like. So yeah, do keep your Norwegian recommendations coming in, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would recommend. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Amundsen Bryggeri then, on to my brewery notes. So as I've told you already, Amundsen Bryggeri are based in Oslo in Norway, the capital city, and the brewery is part of the Akerhus Group, which owns a number of bars and restaurants around the city. And the main men in this company are Ole Johan Tollefsen, Bore Jensen and Tom Erik Andreasen. So the first brewery was part of a gastropub in Stortingsgatan, very close to the main town hall in Oslo. It's a very nice restaurant. Actually, I do recommend that you go and check it out. But this was a very small operation that they had in there, and the key man in getting this established was Tom Alfred Oimo, who had been a home brewer for a good number of years. But the brewery expanded, and by 2015 they were producing around 200,000 litres of beer per year, and they'd become quite established within Norway, having opened up a larger brewery in Nydalen and having established a good number of contracts with Vinmonopolet, of course. But in 2016, the parent company purchased the property company Hauketo Eiendom, and with this they acquired the Bjornerud Veien 14 property, the Bjornerud Veien 14 property, if you want to put that into English. But this is in the Hauketo district in the south of Oslo, and this was turned into a 3,500 square metre brewery, and the brewing began there in late 2016, and the new brewery capacity started off at around 1 million litres of beer per year. I'm not sure if they use all of that right enough, but that is how much they can brew in this facility. But the brewery equipment came from Braukon down in Germany, and the canning and bottling lines were brought in from Italy, and the total investment in the site was apparently 60 million Norwegian kroner. So that is probably in the region of, what would that be, around 1.6 million euros, somewhere like that. The Norwegian krona, it's approximately 10 Norwegian kronas to the euro, somewhere in that kind of region. But the managing director of this brewery is Jeffrey Jansen van Vuren, and Matthew Thomas and John Hudson are the others involved in the day-to-day running of this brewery. Tom Alfred Oimo, of course, is still working away in the brew pub that they have next to the town hall. in the middle of Oslo, which, as I say, I do recommend that you visit. And the artwork on the cans that they have is designed by the American Peter John de Villiers. And in 2019 they produced around 9,500 hectolitres of beer per year, and as of June 2020, when I'm reviewing this beer for you, they've produced in the region of 85 different kinds of beer, according to Untappd. So yeah, a very well respected brewery, this one. Probably one of the best known Norwegian craft breweries outside of Norway. As I've said to you before, there are numerous little craft breweries in Norway that I would love to review things from, but we don't get all that many Norwegian beers down here. But I would say it's probably Amundsen Bryggeri, Bryggeri and Servicium that are the best known Norwegian breweries, along with Nugna, of course, but they of course are owned by Hansa Borg, one of the big boys. So yeah, Amundsen, Lervig, Servicium and Hand Bryggeriet are probably the best known Norwegian craft breweries these days. So yeah, check out some of those. The quality of the Norwegian beers, as is the case here in Sweden, is very high. The Danish beers are obviously very good, and the main reason that the quality of beers are so high in Scandinavia and of course in Iceland and Finland as well is the homebrewing culture. Because of the strictness of the laws that have been in these countries over the last few years, Denmark aside I guess, because they do have a free market in alcohol, but the main reason that there's so many good craft beers there is that the strict laws created a culture of home brewing, and it's just kind of taken off from there. So yeah, that's all you really need to know about Amundsen Bryggeri for the moment. Very well known for their Imperial sweet stouts and also for their New England IPAs, so I do recommend you check out their beers. If you want to learn more about this brewery, of course, you can check out the brewery website in the description below. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and of course you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn more about all the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, let's get on and actually have a taste of this beer and see how we go. So yeah, as I said to you, this is my first beer that I've had from these guys that is in the Dessert in a Can series, the Blueberry Pancake Stack. This one comes in at 10.5% ABV, which is, you know, fairly standard for one of these big Imperial stouts. You can get ones that are, you know, 12 and 13% and things. If I remember rightly, the Glazed and Confused was either 12 or 13%, something like that. But the ingredients in this one, it says malted barley, oats, lactose, hops, yeast, aroma, so it'll be flavour essence, cinnamon, and yeah, this one I guess should be really interesting then. So a blueberry pancake stack, so that means that the blueberry flavours, if it's aroma that's been added into this one, basically flavour essence I think you can call it as well, it will be, you know, blueberry flavour aroma or blueberry flavour essence I guess that's going into this, and probably some pancake flavour essence as well, if you can actually get that, I'm not sure. But yeah, nicely presented this one. All of the beers in this Dessert in a Can series have similar artworks. As I say, there's about 15 or so different beers have been released under this little moniker, so I do need to review a few more of them for you and see how we get on. But this one is a 330ml can, and I think it cost me, I think it might have been 50 Swedish crowns, this one, maybe 55, so that is about, yeah, it's in the region of like £4.70 or something like that, £4.70, €5.50, somewhere in that kind of region. But yeah, let's get this guy out and we will get on with the tasting. If some of you are watching from Norway, of course, do let me know what these beers go for in Norwegian kroner. That would be interesting, because I know that whenever you import a beer into Sweden, you have to add on roughly about 10 kroners of price to it. So basically you add on €1 if the beer is not Swedish. So you can get very good quality Swedish beers for very cheap. You can hear the fizz off of that. This beer obviously doesn't have too much in the way of wheat in it. Did it say wheat? No, it has no wheat in it, so that'll be why the head has faded away quite a lot on this one. But I will tell you straight away, you can smell the black currants and blackberries and stuff, blueberries coming off of this one. It's really got a lovely kind of berryish, fruit cakey type aroma there. I almost forgot what kind of pancakes this one was supposed to be, but yeah, this looks very nice. As you can see, the head, the other thing is you've got two kind of things that can help head retention. If a beer's lower in alcohol, the head is going to stay around a bit more, whereas if you've also got a bit of wheat in it, the head is going to stay around very more. So this one's high alcohol, no wheat, so the head, as you can see, it came in and there was about a quarter finger, maybe a half finger of a frothy, you know, kind of dark tanny coloured head, but it just faded away to be absolutely nothing. But if we hold this beer up to the light, put a bit of light through it, it's got a little bit of a kind of Coca-Cola coloured edge to it, but I think it's fair to say this one has a very dark ebony sort of rosewood colour to it actually. So I mean, yeah, very nice looking beer, I have to say. A nice kind of Coca-Cola coloured edge to it, this one. So yeah, one or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, a few little ones going up towards the bottom of where the head would be in this one. But yeah, in terms of an Imperial Stout, there's nothing really particularly surprising about this beer. If we shine the light through it, you can tell this beer is definitely hazy. I mean, the oats, it's got oats in it, and you know, that is going to make it quite hazy regardless. So yeah, quite a hazy beer, this one, but you're not really going to be able to see that quite clearly on the camera. But yeah, you do get a little bit, if you put the light through it, you do get a little bit of a kind of Coca-Cola coloured edge to it, I have to say. But it leaves nice little bit of lacing there, but in terms of Imperial Stouts, it doesn't look like the thickest one that I've come across on the channel before, but as long as the flavour's good, that is the main thing. So let's have a look at the aroma then, and just see how we get on with this one. Oh yeah, so straight away, you get those big kind of, it almost, to me, it actually smells more like a kind of, it almost smells a little bit more like a kind of, how do you say, more like a kind of chocolate chip cookie. It almost smells a little bit more like cookie dough in the malt base than pancakes, to be quite honest with you. Yeah, I would say that, it really does. It smells more, to me it really smells more like cookies. It smells like cookie dough rather than pancakes. So yeah, you've got a very sweet kind of cookie dough-ish type base to the beer. There's a good little bit of kind of caramelly notes in there, like a sweet caramel, but at the same time you've got a little bit of that lighter McVitie's digestive biscuity quality in there. There is a bit of vanilla for me. You can smell a bit of the cinnamon kind of mixing in with that. Maybe that's what's given the impression of a kind of cookie-ish type aroma to the beer rather than being pancakey. Maybe it's the cinnamon that's making it seem a little bit biscuity to me, because the vanilla and the cinnamon do kind of mix together. Actually, it smells a little bit like kanelbullar, cinnamon buns for those of you who are not Swedish or Scandinavian language speakers. But yeah, it really smells like a kind of, it really does smell like a sort of, it really does smell like a kind of cookie based out. It really reminds me quite a bit of the Zygote, to be honest with you, but it doesn't smell, it's a different fruit that's in this one I think, but it doesn't smell a million miles away from what the Glazed and Confused was either. But the base in this beer really does remind me of the Zygote, to be honest with you. So yeah, quite cookie dough-ish, sweet caramel, a little bit of a kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity sort of thing. You do have a little bit of that kind of sort of butterscotchy Werther's Original type thing in there. Definitely some vanilla. You do pick out the cinnamon in this one as well. And you can pick out, I guess, the lactosey notes are sort of, it might not have straight up vanilla in it. I don't think it said it had vanilla in it. Yeah, so probably that's the lactose. I always, to be honest, when it comes to some of these beers, I always kind of think lactose smells a little bit vanilla-y, but then if you mix it with chocolate, and things, because you do get a good bit of chocolate out of this one. There is a bit of a kind of milky, chocolatey type quality to this one, you know, a sort of 40-ish% cocoa chocolate in there. It gives you that real impression of milky chocolate rather than anything else. So yeah, there's a lot of that coming out of this beer, in my opinion. I really like how that goes together with this one. But yeah, the aroma that comes out of this, I have to say, is really nice actually. So well done to Amundsen Bryggeri here. They've got a really nice malt base on this one, and it all goes together really quite nicely. It's almost kind of layered, like I say, cookie dough base, a little bit of the kind of brown sugar, the sweet caramel, the biscuits sitting on top of that. You do get some of the milky chocolate in there. As you come a bit further forward on the nose, you start to get the kind of milky chocolate there, the cinnamon sort of slightly spicy note in there, which I think is giving the impression of the kind of cookie notes that I was talking about, and a bit of that lactosey vanilla type quality as well. On the hoppy side of things, there's not too much to report there. A little teeny bit of earthiness, a little bit of, to me it's mainly more kind of grassy, so light earthiness, light grassiness, otherwise not too much for the green side of the hops. But on the fruity side of things, I mean, you can get a bit of the tartness of the blueberries of this one, and they do come across as quite juicy in fairness as well. I do actually really enjoy drinking a little bit of blueberry juice, but at the same time the sort of fruity notes you get out of this I think are far more complex than that. You've got a little bit of a figgy note, you do have a little bit of a plummy note, and you know there's kind of blackberry and blackcurranty qualities coming out of this one as well. I'll be curious to know what hops they would use in this, because I mean the obvious candidates would be for example, you would have Northern Brewer from Germany, you've got Eureka, which is an American hop. It can give you some lovely berry notes. You've got Williamette, but I think Williamette would give you a bit of a stronger earthiness than this, unless you, of course, even if you dry hop it, it's going to give you a little bit more of that in fairness. So I'm not sure exactly what hops they would have used in this one, because you don't get a very strong floral aromatic or kind of grassy note out of this one, but in fairness, when it's a big stout like this, when it's a big stout like this, it's kind of hard to pick that out, to be honest with you. So yeah, bear that in mind when you try this one. The fruity notes that you get out of this, the blueberries do smell a little bit oily, which gives you the kind of impression that it's flavour essence. Like I say, they do say there's aroma in this one, which I guess I think you can call it flavour aroma or flavour essence. To be honest, I don't think it really matters too much what you call it. But yeah, the fruity notes on this I think offer you a good little bit of complexity, but the aroma of this beer is very, very nice. It reminds me quite a bit of the Zygote that I had, just with a bit of a kind of blueberry touch to it. So if you like the Omnipoil, big kind of cakey Imperial Stout aromas, you are going to enjoy this one. But I would say that probably these dessert in a can ones are probably just as well known as the Omnipoil ones these days. But yeah, let's have a taste of this one then and see how we get on. So this one is the Dessert in a Can Blueberry Pancake Stack from Amundsen Bryggeri in Oslo up in Norway. My first one from this Dessert in a Can series, so curious to see what it's like. Let's get stuck in. Slàinte, skål. That's really nice, actually. What I would say about this one of the things that's really surprising me about this, I would think that if I was drinking this beer blind, I might guess that this is like an Imperial Porter, because I do find this one, it's quite light in the mouthfeel. I mean, if I compare it to the Glazed and Confused and the Zygote, to me this one feels nowhere near as kind of big and thick as those ones do. I don't know if the other dessert in a cans are the same, but this one strikes me as being quite light in that sense, to be honest with you. So I'm a bit surprised about that, I have to say. And yeah, I'm surprised at how, for other impression I have of this beer at the start is it is actually quite dark and kind of roasty and toasty in some aspects as well, but I do kind of respect that about it. It's got a nice, it does have a nice kind of darker edge to it, this one, in fairness. So yeah, this is nice. Thumbs up to Amundsen Bryggeri. But yeah, it has a bit more of a kind of roasty toasty edge than I was expecting. It's definitely not the sweetest stout that I've had from Amundsen, in fairness, but I like how this goes together. It's the roasty toasty backbone that it has is nice, and you do get more of the sweetness. I think it does sweeten up the further you go into the flavour as well. So yeah, I like that about this one. Yeah, that is pretty nice, I have to say. Yeah, let's try and break down this flavour then. So I mean, straight away with this one, you can feel that nice kind of roasty toasty quality. That just blankets the middle of your tongue. It's got a nice, it is a little bit of black malt, but you can feel it's kind of smoothed out by everything else that's kind of sitting on top of it, in fairness. So yeah, I'm getting old, my fingers are cracking. But yeah, you feel that kind of roasty toasty black malt there, the kind of lactosey qualities on top of it really smoothing it out. So it almost has a little bit of a kind of coffee level smoothness. So it doesn't taste like coffee, let's be clear about that. It doesn't taste like coffee, but I am surprised at how kind of prominent the roasty qualities in this beer are, because if it's, it's a blueberry pancake stack, that's normally something you'd expect to be very, very kind of sweet. But in fairness, with these pastry stouts, I am finding, I hadn't had too many pastry stouts, but I have found with these, they do have a bit of a roasty character to them rather than being all out sweet stouts, if you like. So maybe that's the definition of the pastry stout. It's not full out sweet in the way that like a milk stout is, for example. The pastry stouts probably have a little bit of a roasty backbone to them, but then have a sweet kind of aftertaste, if you like. So yeah, interesting. I need to think about that a little bit. I'll need to talk to the other beer reviewers about that, come to think of it. But yeah, this one has been pretty nice, I have to say. But yeah, let's break this flavour down then. So as I say, middle of your palate, I mean, it's completely just blanky with that roasty toasty backbone there. You do get more of the kind of lactosey qualities, just smoothing out a little bit. If you go to the middle third of your tongue, if you go towards the back of that, you start to get a kind of very dark, bitter, high percentage cocoa chocolate out of this one. You know, a sort of 80-90% cocoa chocolate there. But as you move further forward, you do get a kind of straight up sweet, dark brown sugar. This one, to me, it's quite a sweet caramel rather than being treacly or molassesy or anything like that. You do get a little bit of that the more when you go further into the middle of your palate. As you move out from that, as you come, it's almost kind of sitting on top of it. You do have a little bit of this kind of Werther's originally butterscotchy type flavour, and as you move further forward from that, just a little bit, that's when you start to get the kind of cinnamony notes. So the cinnamon for me almost kind of mixes in with that sort of Werther's original flavour that's sitting right on top of the sweet caramel. That's the boozy side of the beer. So it's almost in layers. You've got roasty toasty blackness. At the back of the middle third of your palate, you've got the kind of darker, bitter, chocolatey, high cocoa chocolate notes. In the middle, you've got a bit of sweet caramel, a little bit of that Werther's original and cinnamony blend in there. But then as you move further forward from that, you get a little bit of this kind of vanilla-y, lactosey, but also kind of milk chocolatey type flavour in there. So this is a really interesting beer in that middle third of your tongue, actually. I like how that goes together. If you go to the back corners of your palate and then just move kind of backward a little bit, you'll get a few sort of woody undertones to the beer, but you also get a few kind of nutty elements to it as well. But I like how that kind of pieces together in this one. The middle of the palate here has a really nice edge to it, I think. And I'm finding the more and more that I drink of this one, the more it starts to, it really does start to kind of sweeten up a little bit. But I do like the kind of roasty toasty edge that this beer has. If you go to the back third of your tongue, yeah, lots of kind of roasty toasty black malty notes to this one. It does get drier and drier the further that you go into the aftertaste, I think, with those kind of black malts. Otherwise, the back of your tongue, really, there's not too much to kind of report there. You can feel a few bits of the kind of sweeter notes creeping out there, but yes, the roasty toasty kind of black malts are really lingering there the further you go into the aftertaste. Actually, it does get a bit darker and more roasty the further you venture into that aftertaste. But back corners of the palate, then you've got a nice little bit of a darker earthiness there. As you move further forward from that, you can feel it gradually it gradually moves to be a little bit more kind of lighter and smoother on the earthy side of things. The earthiness actually does spread quite far forward for me, but then on the front corners of the palate you do get a little touch of a floral aromaticity there, and then very quickly it moves to be a little bit lighter and grassy around the front curve of the tongue. But then the front third of the palate, that's where you get the nice kind of fruity elements coming out of the beer as well. So I like how that goes together. So yeah, that one for me, on the fruity side of things, you get the nice kind of, it's got an interesting kind of juicy thing. I mean, at the very start when you take it in, there's a teeny little bit of tartness from the blueberries, but not a lot. That's what really gives it away as being flavour essence that's in this beer, because the blueberries come over as being more juicy rather than having just that little bit of tartness to them. So what you'll find is on that front third of your palate, if you go towards the very back of it, between that kind of border on the middle third of your tongue and the front third of your tongue, that's when you get the sort of this almost really toasty, brownie type quality coming out of the beer. So you really get that kind of really roasty, well-fired brownie-ish quality on the border between the kind of front part of the palate there. So you do get that, but you also, as you just come in front of that, that's when you start to get a little bit of the kind of darker red fruit notes. There's a bit of a blackcurranty, blackberry-ish sort of note to that. But as you come further forward on that front third of your tongue, you'll get more of a kind of plummy note out of it. It doesn't really have a raisiny sharpness to it, this beer. It is more of a juicy kind of plum or figgy quality, but the further you go into the aftertaste, I think on the very tip of the tongue you start to get a little bit more of that black, a slightly sweeter blackberry kind of blackcurranty note out of it. But the thing that kind of lingers there in the whole kind of centre of that front third of your palate is the blueberry flavour essence, and the thing that, as I say, that gives it away as being flavour essence is just how sort of oily it is. So the oiliness of the fruit, I think, gives it away as being flavour essence, or flavour aroma as they're calling it, rather than flavour essence. But yeah, there's a whole host of different layers and things to this beer, but the thing that surprises me, like I said, is how roasty and toasty it is, and just how kind of light the mouthfeel is. So on that note, let's go on to the last part, which is always the mouthfeel. So yeah, this beer, I mean, in fairness, it is an Imperial pastry stout. It does have a sort of, it does have a little bit of, I'd say it's at the bottom end of full bodied, top end of mid bodied. It's kind of in that range. It does feel a little bit in terms of mouthfeel like the Lorelei, that's one of the coconut Imperial porters. I forget exactly what they call it, but it does remind me a little bit of the Lorelei from Omnipollo. It's got the same kind of mouthfeel as that, so not as heavy and thick as some of the other stouts you're going to get from Amundsen, in the same way that Lorelei isn't the thickest and beastliest of stouts, beastliest of dark beers that you're going to get from Omnipollo. So yeah, kind of quite high Imperial porter category, this one, so not the thickest of things, but yeah, quite a creamy, smooth mouthfeel rather than anything else. It does have a bit of roasty, dry bitterness to it too, but yeah, quite a kind of, I would say, quite a smooth and creamy mouthfeel overall. In terms of the bitterness out of this beer, I would say we're talking maybe about 40ish, 50 IBUs out of this one. I think 50 is more accurate on this. I'm quite surprised at the roasty, toasty backbone that the beer has being so prominent. But in fairness, that's well balanced by the whole kind of sweetness that this beer has. This is definitely not the sweetest of stouts that I've had from Amundsen though, but like I say, I'm wondering if that's one of the kind of prerequisites, if you like, one of the requirements for calling it a pastry stout. It's got to have that roasty, toasty backbone, but then sort of sweetness in the other part of the palate. But yeah, this one, the back of your palate and the sides of your tongue really dry out the further into the aftertaste you go, but you've got a nice kind of juicy, fruity quality to it there as well. But I really like how everything in this one goes together. The fruitiness for me, like I say, quite oily from the flavour essence side of things, but you do get a few other nice complexities to it as well, which I'm guessing are from the hops. Quite hard to tell from the flavour which hops it could be. Northern Brewer from Germany, which is, you know, there's quite a few similarities with this. The Doppelbock would be Eureka, like I said, Williamette. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly what hops it could be in this one. Brandon's Cross from England is another one, but usually they turn out to be a little bit more sort of phenolic and things. But the main message to take away is that this is a really, really quite nice beer. It reminds me a lot of the Lorelei from Omnipollo in terms of its vibe, but obviously it's a completely different sort of flavour concoction, if you like, more of a blueberry kind of thing there. I forget which one that Omnipollo did was the blueberry Imperial Stout. But yeah, this is a very, very nice beer, and I think it's a nice introduction to the dessert in a can series, so I'll need to check out a few more of these as we go on. But yeah, let's leave it at that for this. And this one is the Dessert in a Can Blueberry Pancake Stack, coming in at 10.5% ABV from Amundsen Bryggeri in Oslo, the capital city of Norway. A nice introduction to the Dessert in a Can series, and you will see me review more of these at some point soon. So yeah, let's leave it at that. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Amundsen Bryggeri as well. Do let me know what your favourite one in the Dessert in a Can series is as well. Give me some other Norwegian brewery recommendations. If you'd be interested in being my Norwegian beer mule, where I can send you some money and you organise a Norwegian beer box for me, that would be awesome, because I know there's a ridiculous number of breweries up there that I've not had anything from. That would be great. Get in touch with me through the Facebook or the Instagram page. That would be awesome if you could do that. I'd love to review some of the different Norwegian breweries, but you will definitely see me return to Amundsen, Lervig, Servicium, Handbryggeriet in the near future. I love reviewing the Norwegian beers, and this one has been a nice little bit of a treat, and you will see more Norwegian beers soon. Thank you again for watching. Check out all my social media, check out Amundsen Bryggeri, check out the Dessert in a Can series, and I will catch you guys very soon. The Blueberry Pancake Stack from the Dessert in a Can series at Amundsen Bryggeri in Oslo in the very south of Norway. Until the next time, Slange just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Slange, skål, cheers.